gameplay between these two teams.
Ooh, it looks like Zika gonna go for something very aggressive. I like it. Okay.
And that's a pretty early lock in there of the Garen.
That's very spin to win for this one.
I mean, I think it's a big advantage for Angel, especially as the fire begins to encircle the two players. Side selection at stake here in the 1v1. Angel going to come in, spin to try and win. Zika popping the barrier very early on. And remember, does not have that ultimate, so no extra damage, no potential execute as we continue to close in. Angel still has the ult, still has his barrier. It's looking very good potentially for EDG's mid laner. There comes the spin. Ooh. There comes the justice. And EDG hovering the Wukong and going to actually lock it in. So this is like the alternate option in terms of trying to be really aggressive into the Jace early on. Wukong can stack a lot of armor with the passive.
Early push isn't going to come through and giving him the early space he would want around these grubs. Yeah,
it was actually on the first reset that both of these top laners had. ZDC getting a nice chunk onto Zika. So instead it looks like LNG going to fight in the mid lane, but looks like the gravity well actually stuns up too, forces Haichao to flash away with the Arcane Storm coming down on top of him. But here comes Zika. That's a Wukong top lane, and he's level 6 with that Tiamat, and will pick up the first. The fact that that kill did go LNG's way. EDG did pick up all 3 of the grubs, as well as getting 2 plates onto ZDZ.
We'll see if he oversteps up here.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's a potential dive going on the bot side, but we're going to look up towards top first as the Cyclone comes out initially. There goes the Glacial Prison as well. ZDZ will fall here in this.
Even having to use the cleanse right there for Photic's huge. You don't want to lose the cleanse right now. Losing cleanse flash and potentially your life would have been a massive disadvantage.
Oh wow, they clear all the wave down on that top side. ZDZ already chunked down about 500 HP as the Arcane Storm chunks way down to 40%. A lot of poke going down as all 5 members of EDG are up on the top side. They need to make this happen, and they do. Shut down going the way of Zhao Hao, and now Wink is crashing down onto Wei instead, turning his targets towards Zhou, who has to flash away. Wind becomes lightning, knock up, and Zhao Hao picks himself up a double kill.
Huge double kill going through. Haichai gonna be able to
he got it
up the tower. Yeah, he just wait quickly. Let's see though, there could be a steal.
Another thing as well, EDG, if they pick up this dragon, that will be the feats of strength going over their way. About 300,000 HP. It's gonna go and reset. And so it looks like just gonna be a trade of towers as well, as Haichao doing a really nice job of picking up those objectives where he is able to buy that time. And now back to the Infernal Dragon. Now EDG go. Both teams been just sticking around this bottom side. Wei going to try to go for a steal. It should be a 50-50, but it is secured by the Xin Zhao. Teleport comes in from Haichao as they want to fight this in a 5v5, and Zika has himself a tremendous flank. It's a 3-man cycle. It's going to land that knockup onto a Seaman Haichao or Zhao Hao once again, but there's just no follow-up, and he will go down. Bullet time is blocked by the Brahmi very, very well, and now ZDZ on the back side of things is forced
kill whoever the front line are, and then peel back and turn the rest of this team fight around. I think EDG played that one out about as well as they could have, and they're also deals a lot of damage. And LNG are going to arrive indeed. EDG, they know that they just have to step away, allow that one to full reset.
In the short term, however, now the Otacon buff did not actually fully reset, and now it's only at 5,000 HP, and Zhao Hao is going to have to make a tough choice. Does he try to go for the flip, or will he not even be able to with a big Glacial Fissure coming out from Zhuo? He's all very down, very low. The Arcane Storm doing a good amount of chunk as well. Here comes Zika, lands a Cyclone only onto Assume, and takes a big chunk in response. There comes the bullet time. He's going to burst this down, and the revives are secured by LNG. Wink goes in, but all will be for naught, as it'll just force all of LNG to head back to base, and Haichao doing as much damage as he can before he likely will eventually head back to the fountain as well. The Gatling gun doing a big chunk of damage. He will be able to get the shutdown on the Zhao Hao before heading back.
15 seconds until Zhao Hao's back up.
Yeah, Wink gonna try to take the Hex Gate over, but Azarel not going to really be able to do too much, and EDG are just way shorter due to the buff, and they make their way over to the Baron and are going to blow open.
All 5 members of EDG continue to step up. Hang on, we're going to jump straight out into a team fight.
Yeah, Zika found the initial Cyclone here, but here's the response though from EDG. Zhuo goes down, as Assume picks it up here with the bullet time. Now ZDZ might have called out Haichao. He's the big carry here for LNG. He's not even going to get a trade onto the Xin Zhao, and the Arcane Storm goes its way onto.
And that's a huge injection of gold. A ton of big shutdowns picked up as well. Haichao had a massive one set on top of his head that you've now managed to collect for EDG, and they pulled this gold gap back down to just over 1,000 gold. They're also going to pick up this Hextech Drake that had been sitting here left alone, uninterested in by the team, same as their opponents, despite the fact that they had a Baron buff. ZDZ gonna get jumped.
Yeah, now Zika and Haichao looking to go on to ZDZ. Zika does have the flash if he wants to try to land a second knockup, but he's not even going to need it. ZDZ will get shut down of his lane opponent and does have 4 items right now. But EDG as a whole looking very aggressive, and they're actually the ones pushing the tempo here. Zhao Hao goes forward, pops the Crescent Guard, and here comes Wink with a 2-man Magnet Storm. On the other side, though, that's a flanking Corki, and Zika lands a 3-man Cyclone to try to one-shot the backline. That's Assume going down. That's Angel forced to flash away as well. The Arcane Storm doing a good chunk of damage. Not enough just yet, but ZDZ is able to pick up 2. He's able to pick up another one. He's able to pick up so many kills. That's a triple kill.
Damage, carries, and threats. Get onto the backline, get a flank off, and you'd think that would be enough to pick up the win, but everybody is just tanky enough to be able to survive.
Only much here in this game other than get bullied by Zika in lane. But now with that 4th completed item, he's going to be a problem for the remainder of this one. But speaking of problems, it looks like Wink is in a hell of a one as he just gets bursted down as LNG just pull up a Death Brush strategy of some sort. Now Zika lands a Cyclone onto ZDZ. The tank chase not tanky enough, pops the shield. The bullet time is blocked by Jwo, barely not able to take anybody down. But now Angel will pick himself up a triple kill with the Arcane Storm. That is a large ultimate, burning down LNG. Photic, the last remaining survivor. It's an ace here for Edward Gaming. They've got 3 and a wave towards mid. They might try to end this game right now.
Yeah, with 6 scrubs, EDG, they're going to take down these towers very quickly. 40 seconds on the death timer, so it's a long time at this point in the game. And it's another great team fight out of EDG. Fnatic Death Brush style. Love it when teams pull that one out. And LNG, they set that one up. That was their play. It goes wrong once again. EDG, they're going to be able to pick up game number 1 of this series.
It was a back and forth and back and forth.
You only lost things like the Rakan and the Nico, and it is going to be a lock-in right here of the Nautilus. Nautilus fits into almost every composition. He's never a particularly bad choice, and he can do a lot of the same things as the Renata, where you can stop things like the Leona. Towards the top side of the map, there's no vision right here, and ZDZ is very pushed up.
Yeah, does hit level 5, so does have the advantage right now over Zika, who very smartly goes in front of ZDZ to make sure he cannot Justice Punch away. The taunt only going to land onto Weiwei as ZDZ in a whole lot of trouble, and it's going to be first blood for... They are very lucky that that Zenith Blade went wide from Joe. Otherwise, that could have been a bit of a problem. And Enchanted Crystal Arrow, though, does connect. And Zika, he teleported away before anybody. He really knew that that arrow was going to hit. I mean, this has to work for EDG. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lot in terms of just pure waves on both the mid and the bottom lane. Hex Slash in from Wink. The target immediately should be Photic, who gets chunked down and bursted here by the Shuriken of Angel. And he perfectly executes out to safety. Here's the re-engage, though. Haichao misses everybody with the Emperor's Divide. And that could have been a big...
Giving over another one of the feats from it. And it is going to be 2 more grubs picked up. So 5. They're going to roam up a 3rd member, LNG, to potentially try for this. He is. That was gorgeous, to be fair. And Wink is also going in terms of that feat of the objectives. But it doesn't matter. It's just going to be the feat going over right here to EDG. They're going to be able to right now. ZDZ, he is on his way, though, and will have that ulti. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Hawkshot just got everybody in vision here for LNG, and Zika gets caught up by the arrow and shut down to start off the fight, and it'll be 2 kills immediately here as Assume is able to pick up the second. Angel dashes forward, able to dash back out the burn.
Once again, the hero's entrance is gorgeous as another piece of follow-up, and the kills are going exactly
at the objectives first. They kind of half listened to you. They sent up Zika early, but they seem very indecisive in terms of whether they really wanted to start.
But there is a lot left this year, and this first split is often a bit of a warm-up, so we'll have to see what they can do to change it. Photic is currently being hunted right now. Pretty hard to jump an S1 position right here to be walking into the opponent's world. They're going to be forced to do that. You really don't want to just give up this buff for free.
Half HP, Zika does have the teleport, but immediately Wink is going to go in here and land the depth charge onto 2. Solar Flare is flashed away from. Here comes the Paranoia. Only right now Jwo in a lot of trouble. Zika teleports in and immediately has to flash away. Now stuck in a 1v5. Gets locked up by the taunt. The Equalizer not doing nearly enough. And the Otacon will reset, but it will come at the cost of Zika's life. LNG lose 1 and are now struggling to gain...
Start up the Otacon buff, and they are correct in that assumption.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that teleport from Zika a little bit as well. I mean, it would have been good if all of EDG was still losing so much.
Mid-lane tier tower is just being taken by the jungler.
Yeah, so almost EDG daring LNG to finish off this Otacon. Xiaohao does have the paranoia, should be able to jump into the pit using that control ward vision that is available. Weiwei going to potentially be the target as immediately Zhuo is the one who starts to engage again. Haichao unable to land a single person on the Emperor's Divide, as it's already a 2-for-0 going EDG's way. Assume now has that Ranger's focus unlocked. Angel with the Shuriken flip will take down Zika, and the Otacon is now down to 500 HP. 5,000, I should say. Photic flashing forward. The health bars are so low, but he will not be able to find a single kill, as Xiaohao and ZDZ are still healthy on the front line, as the Otacon is still remaining tethered. Haichao has to be the difference maker here.
Refuses to die. And as you so expertly pointed out, so much damage that these fights are never just winnable for EDG. They have to get one kill and then move away.
Oh, this is interesting though.
Lose this one now.
So EDG is going to get the soul here, but the Otacon might actually get picked up this time. But no! Angel steals it away on the Akali. The jungler wasn't even there. And LNG still are unable to pick up the Otacon buff. Zhuo will fall. Assume is doing so much damage with the Ranger's focus. Haichao finally dashes forward, but he still doesn't have enough. Here comes Xiaohao. Picks up Photic and should be able to grab even more kills, as Haichao is next on the menu. He will not burn down, but that is so worth it for EDG. They get 3 kills and they all revive and head right back to the top side of the map.
ZDZ teleports back in because top lane is the best lane, and Angel pushes through mid. What is this game? I cannot believe that EDG managed to steal that one away after we sit top lane for 15 full minutes watching LNG attempt to take this Otacon buff. And there is EDG. They have run the map. They have had complete control over the objectives in this game. Midway through, the fight on the back end is crazy as well. Picture in picture though, you can see LNG are losing out. At the end of this game, it's going to be very hard to pick an MVP, but I know who my LVP is. I mean, honestly, ZDZ is inting in this game. Look at that. Look at that KDA. How can you die?
Yeah, what did he do? He died one time.
There it
Ridiculous.
goes.
Okay, there comes the Enchanted Crystalera once again. Haichao just not able to do anything in that fight. Taunt lands here on Zhuo. He's certainly doomed as well. It's a double kill coming in for the Akali. Angel ending this one, or have right now, I should say, at 8-0 and 4. They're going to pick up this bot lane inhibitor. Look to end this game right here and right now. Arcane Shift away from the dredge line, now at 3v5 underneath the Nexus turrets, and it should not be like that for long. Zika will fall. Weiwei and Photic running the wrong direction, and it'll be right back to the fountain and right back to the drawing board here for LNG. They get dismantled here in game number 2. 18-1 the final kill score, in EDG are on match point in their last series of Split 1.
If we were talking about momentum,
Kaisa Alistar lane into the Caitlyn Lux this early, so it's gonna get locked in. We're probably gonna see some lane swap shenanigans, I would assume, early on.
Yes. If you don't, recognize that, hey, we've got all of this pressure bot lane, going to be able to pick up this tower at just 6 minutes, 20 seconds into the game, and also grab an early Ocean Go and farm and do what they want to. Luckily, both Cassante and Ambessa have a lot of innate capabilities. That means it's not going to be the end of the world.
So we're just trading objectives here, you know, on the top side, obviously, where it looks like at least one will be picked up here by Weiwei, most likely. There it is. So no feat of strength given over, but it could be potentially more grubs in favor of EDG. Finding lands just onto Wink, and so they will be forced away. And EDG actually finding themselves up in gold, despite the Caitlyn Lux taking that first tower, because of the strength that they've been able to generate across the other sides of the map. And they're going to be able to get 5 of the 6 grubs to start this game off.
Great decision here out of EDG. The second that LNG just wander off, very easy to be able to pick this one up. You had to go and pick up some waves. You don't draft yourself this composition because you want to sit back and chill. In fact, Assume gonna get jumped.
Okay, pops the cleanse. Already the stun used is not the upgraded stun just yet for Weiwei, although he could have it available rather soon. Ace in the hole comes out. That's a good chunk of damage. Weiwei just unrelenting in his chase down of Assume. Finally will jump him, and not really in a position to go for a steal unless he wants to be in danger of getting taken down. There's the Weaver's Wall. It separates 3 members of LNG, but a nice binding will force Xiaohao away from the play.
These are formalities. Atacon, now that's the buff that everybody wants all the way through. Mid lane tower, as I was expecting,
to actually start up this dragon. Looks like it could be a bit of a flip unless one side wants to go for an early engage. Who is going to pull the trigger first? Wink still has both of his summoner spells. Weaver's Wall comes out. The dragon at 3,500. Will it actually end up being taken down, or will the fight actually break out? It's ticking, ticking. Nobody wants to do anything until Wink finds Photic, and the main carry for LNG falls. There comes the Strangled Thorns. It does not knock anybody up, but it forces LNG away, and EDG will pick
opposite of what we got to see previously. This is going to be a very quick Atakan take. EDG going to pick this buff up as well. It's most certainly voracious, as about it, just force your opponents off. It's very tricky to take Atakan because he does so much damage. The fact they just ran away pretty much just gave it over for free to EDG. They're going to be very happy with that one. Still, not up by very much gold. In fact, with that tower falling, the gold is barely 1,000 apart right now.
Yeah, and they're trading objectives actually decently nicely, all things considered, despite the 5 grubs being in EDG's side. They get the full bot lane tier 2. And Weaver's Wall coming up towards mid. Angel looks like he's willing to sacrifice himself a little bit, knowing that he has that Voracious Otacon buff. If it means it helps get his team mid lane priority, they'll be able to burst down this tier 1 turret. Now the question is, can LNG fight back at all? Teleport comes in here for Zika. Another perfect execution does land. They are underneath the tier 2 tower. They are full sending it because they know they have the revives for just a little bit longer, and that is likely all that they will be. Grand Starfall comes out. Xiaohao going to probably be targeted here. Not going to burn that flash because he knows he's headed straight back towards the fountain. So, yeah, it's a nice in a way.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been. Right now, ZDZ once again going to get jumped on. Actually misses the ulti as well. Oof.
Yeah, he already has to flash. There comes the Between Worlds from Haichao as well. ZDZ low on energy. Going to try to use that passive to get a little bit more, but it will not be enough as Weiwei picks up the kill. Meanwhile, on the other side, EDG going to try to use that time to take the Baron, and they do with all the damage that Xiaohao does have. Assume uses the killer instinct, try to get away. Zicko looking to chase forward, but the Unraveled Earth
position to be able to win this game, even with the kills dead even, and they're only up by about 2,000 previously. We can see that they can at least pick up wins.
Okay, so that's a very aggressive teleport here from Zika. Yeah. Forces all of EDG back at the very least, and now Wink actually could be a big target here. He pops the Unbreakable Will, a 2-man seismic shove does connect, and the E from Weiwei should be able to keep him alive for now. Ultimate does come away, and it will be Photic picking up that 3rd kill of the game. Finally,
What is this series? This has been a fascinating series in the way that it's so
odd.
My
goodness,
Assume okay.
Killer Instinct straight into Weiwei's face. That could prove absolutely costly, but it just doesn't because Haichao is in the middle of the entire enemy team. EDG get 1 for nothing as the 46 second death timer opens up for LNG's mid.
That's exactly what I was just saying. What is this series? Assume diving in when there's an Aurora on the board and it works. Doesn't even die right there to Photic. Photic's going to pay with his life here.
Yeah, public execution comes in from ZDZ. That'll lock down Photic. Here comes the Grand Starfall from Weiwei.
Assume still here.
Rather low. And he does get shut down by the Comet Spear of the Pantheon, but it does not matter because he will go down in response. Still a 4v2 open on top of the map, and ZDZ very powerful at this point in the game. He might have been starved early with the lane swap, but he's all powerful now. Level 16 on the Ambessa and looking to open up this inhibitor tower.
Yeah, the Lux ulti going to come through. It takes away most of the weight, but not all of it, not enough. They're going to be able to pick themselves up that inhibitor turret and the inhibitor to boot. EDG, after the game, was very quiet for the first while. All of a sudden, I should be dead here, and walks up randomly to try to get that extra kill onto Weiwei. Does a lot of damage, sure, but another great way is to just move on to this Baron for the 2nd time.
And if they pick this up, could eventually lead to the end of the game. The Weaver's Wall will block out Zhuo specifically, as ZDZ is in on the flank with the Zyra and Kaisa. This Baron bursts down so incredibly fast. It will be secured without a question here for EDG. And now the real question is, can LNG escape with their lives after posturing around the pit maybe a little bit too far forward? Redemption comes out. It heals up LNG rather nicely. You can see right now Zhuo on the Lux barely tickling EDG. And Haichao gets caught out by the public execution. It's a double kill in for ZDZ. And that should just about do it. It was not the split that EDG wanted, but it definitely was the series that EDG wanted today against LNG. They pull off a clean sweep, 3-0, and will end this split one on a high note.
Yeah, 3-0's got to feel good after what has been a rough split for EDG. But this one was great. This one was pretty clean the whole way through. It never really felt like LNG had a chance. EDG were just the better team today. And congratulations to them on picking up their first series win. there were question marks, there were raised eyebrows, but nothing too much. And then the next 3 games have just completely blown the doors off of it. LNG, it isn't working. Whatever this is, it's not working for the team. Now, whether it's a change going into next split, or if you think that, you know, these players are good, we need to change something in coaching, the meta, it just wasn't in our favor, but next split's meta will be different, and we will be a different team because of it. Lots of questions.
Yeah, I know that, you know, for me personally, was excited to see what this new look LNG roster could do.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen Photic and Joe, this bottom lane that might have had a bit of a down year in 2024, but overall I've always played on such high quality teams, things like V5 and NIP, specifically with Rookie, and now coming into here, getting this new opportunity, you have somebody like Haichao who, even though on LGD didn't have the best team success, I think a lot of people looked at him individually and thought, this is a player that we could maybe get more out of. Like somebody like a Cream going over to Top Esports last year, but that really just has not been the case. And I know in the LEC, after they play this, you know, they're the only other league that has had this like 3-split format for longer than a lot of the other major regions had. Roster swaps after the split 1, not super uncommon, and so we'll see what LNG decide to do. I know this is a roster that has a lot of high expectations, but would they be willing to pull the trigger that quickly after, you know, what was obviously a very disappointing performance?
Yeah, I really do not know. I feel like it's a big risk to try to blow this one up and find yourself a bunch of new players, because a lot of teams will be happy enough with the way that their first split had gone, don't want to change things around. It's always tricky to find those top tier new players, not in the same way that you can at the end of the full year. Everybody's leaving their teams, everybody's moving around, you can find that top tier talent. It would be tricky for LNG. At the same time, clearly something has to change, but you know, we'll have to wait and see. No use on speculating on that one any further. EDG, I have the same questions, because they pick up the win today, it looks good, but do you stick with it? Because other than beating an LNG team who are struggling massively, they haven't had a good time either.
Yeah, I mean, though those first 2 series were not great. However, I think there were some good things that we saw here from EDG. I think specifically ZDZ. In the top lane had himself a really good series. You know, he was somebody who was hyped up going into last year when he was on Weibo at the start of the year, and then this year on EDG alongside Xiao Hao, I think playing relatively well. I think Angel overall solid as well. So things to look for that are good here for this EDG squad are the individual play that they displayed even against EDG and Thunder Talk, or sorry, BLG and Thunder Talk, and it's more the other stuff. How much are they going to be able to do in terms of macro, in terms of team fighting, as we get a look at our final post-game screenshot of the day.
The difference between Zika and ZDD's damage is nutty, but the thing that honestly draws my eye the most is a 4,000 damage Lux. That's nothing. That's support Lux, even with the lack of gold income that you get from playing it in the support role, still usually does more damage than that. Zhu did nothing, was not able to do anything on this champion, and part of that is the lane swap. The lane swap worked out, even though you were giving up a ton more plating gold quicker to the bot lane of LNG. EDG were perfectly happy with that because they knew they were going to be able to use these champions more effectively later on in the team fights around the rest of the map. This was our first blood at what? 25 minutes into the game.
I'm kind of curious like what highlights they picked for this one, because there weren't a ton. I'm not going to lie. Not a ton of highlights in this game.
15 minutes, I think, was the first blood, which is super late. The first Drake was also ignored for a good long while as well. Yeah, there were a couple of big plays right here, a couple of picks. The majority of these fights turn into just one pick, and you're never really able to expand that into a couple more. This one was Angel going in... this was the one where the Ruinous Atakan was... Voracious Atakan was wrong for the wrong team. You know, just went in randomly. This game, as much as it's a win for EDG, it was rough. Like, it was rough from start to finish, and it feels like it's really highlighted to me how much I am excited for BLG versus Thunder Talk. Because both of these teams have beaten these teams, which is great. You have to beat the teams that are put in front of you. But I'm not certain what level that makes BLG or Thunder Talk, right? I don't know how much that means that those two teams are great, or how much that means that EDG and LNG just aren't it this split. Once these two teams face each other, that's when I think we're going to be able to see a lot more of the actual power level relative to the rest of the league.
Yeah, and I think still obviously BLG going to be the big favorites in that series, but I think specifically with their performances against LNG, do you think that what Thunder Talk have done this season has been very exciting? I really like 1xN and Feather, as our observers are maybe flaming the teams a little bit here as well with the zoom-ins and things like that. But yeah, this certainly felt like a battle between two teams that were already out, eliminated, and were both 0-2 going into their last game of the split.
Yeah. Felt like looking for a nice cap off, which EDG obviously do get, unfortunate for LNG. I think Thunder Talk are fun. I think they're really fun, you know? In as much as I'm not certain they're going to be able to win against BLG, I think they're going to put up a really good fight, and then once we get into the playoff stage, that's where I think we're going to see Thunder Talk pick up a couple of wins against teams who maybe haven't been looking at them with as much respect. Everybody respects BLG. I think that there's a possibility that another good team underestimates how good Thunder Talk are, and that they're able to sneak away a really good series off of someone.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can do this right now, but before we unveil the player of the game, if we could just take a look at the schedule for what is left to come for the rest of the week to wrap up the group stage, that would be a pretty cool thing to do, either before or after we reveal this POG. Who do you have as
I do not know
player of the
POG.
game? I would say ZDZ this game. Unless they just want to give it to Angel 3 games in a row for fun. I mean, that's
ZDZ
also
would be a good pick, right? Because he got put in the dirt early on and then came back to have a really impressive performance. I think, to be honest, Assume also had a great one. I wonder if it maybe goes to Angel because of that crazy dive-in play, but then maybe over-aggressing onto the kill onto Weiwei was a little bit of a detraction from it. I'm not sure. 3 games in a row where every member of EDG steps up in their own way.
Yeah, so as we wait for that, again, just looking forward, we'll have another one of these 0-2 matchups, unfortunately, again, tomorrow, as that's just the way that these best-of-5 group stages do end up working. And then after that, every single series has major implications, whether it's the top 2 teams playing against each other for the first or second seed, which determines your spot in the upper or lower bracket, or even matches where the winner could qualify into the playoffs and the loser gets sent home. So a lot on the line as we wrap up our final day of the group stage. Let's take a look at our last POG of this series. It is going to go to ZDZ on the Ambessa.
Yeah, you got that one perfectly right. I mean, it was a very impressive performance. The way that he got put down was on, 13 CS or something, 12 minutes into the game, and then it doesn't matter because you're able to get yourself ahead. There are a couple of those executions that were great as well. Really nice, hitting it onto the right member, being able to pull people through, and also was just buying a lot of space. This one was a really nice public execution as well. Overall, I think ZDG had a great day. I think every single person from EDG has had a great day, and it was really good to see them smiling and happy after the matchup.
Yeah, and it's nice to see one of the players that we were highlighting at the start of the show get a little bit of a nod for their play as well as we wrap up our series here. If we can get one look at the schedule, I just want to show the audience what the matchups are going to look like for the remainder of the week. We have Ultra Prime versus OMG, as we mentioned, tomorrow, and then it gets super fun. NIP RNG, that has some big playoff implications, and NIP can look to go undefeated. Thunder Talk against BLG for first place in Group C, as we mentioned. IG versus FPX could also be big, specifically if RNG ends up, winning and then pulling off an upset over NIP. And then the last day, LGD versus Top Esports, winner qualifies as the second seed in that group.
So many exciting matchups coming up. Even the one tomorrow, once again, has the excitement of, hey, somebody doesn't want to go 0-3. These teams are going to be scrapping for pride, scrapping to show what they can provide to their teams, that they should be kept around for the next split. So all of these matchups are going to have implications, but obviously the big playoff implications start happening later on. We're obviously very excited for the Thunder Talk versus BLG matchup. That one's just massive in terms of what this group means, and also in terms of being able to actually see the real relative power level of these teams, but all of them are going to be fun.
Absolutely, and you could come right back here to LPL English at the exact same time. 4 a.m. Eastern time, 1 a.m. Pacific time. I think it's 10 a.m. or 9 a.m.
8 a.m. 8 a.m. That's the one.
8
a.m.
in
Europe.
the UK. So make sure to stay tuned for all of those games for the remainder of the week. Well, that's going to do it here on LPL English. Before we go, we want to give a huge thank you to our elite coffee subscriber, Aaron Porus. Their pledge financial contribution helps level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you a fantastic LPL English product every single day. On behalf of the entire crew here on the show today, Black Bloxer, Ilya, and Alk Battery, my name is Ian Grapes. Final score here, EDG 3, LNG 0.